Making the headlines tonight. King Noorodom Cihamoni has left Cambodia to attend UNESCO's 41st General Assembly being held at France. Prime Minister Hun Sen recalls the tragic death of his first son during Khmer regime 45 years ago. 4 astronauts have splashed down off the coast of Florida aboard their SpaceX Crew Dragon after 6 months NASA science mission. This is the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Rhea Soko. His Majesty King Noorodom Cihamoni has already left for France on Wednesday morning. The King will attend the 41st General Assembly of the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO. With his absence in the Kingdom of Cambodia, the King has permitted the Senate President, Sai Chum, to lead the closing ceremony of the Independence Day on Thursday. EAC News reporter Paolo Bonini has our top story.
In a letter released last Friday, King Noorodom Cihamoni has announced that he will be out of the country from the 10th to the 15th of November. The King is attending the UNESCO's 41st General Assembly. The assembly is being held in France in line with UNESCO's 75th anniversary. There will be an exhibition entitled UNESCO's Adventures that showcases the history of UNESCO and its achievements, including the protection of intangible heritage and the expansion of the notion of cultural heritage. Cambodia's king will deliver a message at the opening ceremony of the General Assembly. With his absence in the Kingdom of Cambodia, the king has appointed Senate President Sai Chum to act as the head of state. He will also represent the king on the closing ceremony of the Independence Day on Thursday. The Senate President will be the one to extinguish the victory torch at the Independence Monument. Paolo Bonini, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen has remembered his son's death during Pol Pot's genocidal regime. He has recalled the tragic experience to their family that happened 45 years ago. The Prime Minister says he can still vividly remember when his newly born son was struck by the doctor, causing his instantaneous death. Prime Minister and his family have spent time at their son's graveyard on Wednesday morning, remembering that tragic moment. EAC News reporter Yuri Matusko has more.
Fathers and mothers will never forget the tragedy that befell to their children. This is what Prime Minister Hun Sen has stated on his social media page as he remembers the tragic death of his eldest son 45 years ago. Named Hun Kamsot, he was just a newborn when he died on 10 November 1976. According to the Prime Minister, his wife just gave birth to his son when he was dropped by the doctor holding him, causing his death. He arrived at the hospital where his wife Bunrani Hun Sen gave birth with his son already dead. He says his wife gave birth alone. He was not on her side when it happened. Because at that time, the Khmer regime, people all over the country had lesser rights compared to animals. Prime Minister Hun Sen says he was shocked when he stepped into the hospital and was shouted that his wife had gave birth and the babe was dead. He immediately ran and he only saw blood was flowing from his son's mouth. He tried to shout for help to save his life while his wife was unconscious, not knowing her children was dead. The Prime Minister says there was nothing he could do. He asked the cruel commander to let him bury his son and take care of his wife after giving birth. But his request was not granted. Instead, he got insulted. He was not told that the doctors could bury his child because no matter if he would be the one to bury him, his child would never come to life. He was forced to leave his son's corpse with his wife still lying on the bed unconscious. The Prime Minister says that every time he remembers this tragic moment, he couldn't help but cry. He says the pain is unbearable and unexplainable. Prime Minister Hun Sen says he will never forget Pol Pot's abusive regime, killing millions of people, including his son. Yuri Matusko, EAC News.
Prime Minister Hun Sen and Slovenian Prime Minister Yancha have virtually met on Tuesday evening. The two prime ministers have discussed improving the relations and cooperations between the two countries. Prime Minister Hun Sen has fully agreed to strengthen and expand the cooperation with Slovenia in all areas. This was decided during a virtual meeting with the Slovenian Prime Minister Yancha on Tuesday evening. It was confirmed by the Prime Minister's assistant Ing Supalit. Supalit says that the two prime ministers have discussed potential areas for cooperation, including tourism, health, trade, and the economy. They have also talked about the exchange of visits to successfully promote the cooperation between the two countries. The Cambodian and the Slovenian prime ministers have also agreed that they will hand over the work leading to stronger cooperation to their ministries of foreign affairs. One of the topics that will be reviewed by the two countries is the visa waiver for diplomats and other officials. In addition, the two heads of state have discussed the multilateral framework, which includes to strengthen cooperation in the fight against COVID-19. Prime Minister Hun Sen says that Cambodia is committed to promote free trade negotiations between ASEAN and the European Union, as the country is chairing the upcoming 13th summit of the Asia-Europe meeting, which will be held on 25 to 26 November through a video conference. Cambodia will also start chairing the ASEAN in 2022, which can be a great opportunity to further strengthen the cooperation. Slovenian Prime Minister Yancha has invited Prime Minister Hun Sen to visit his country early next year, which was accepted by the Cambodian Prime Minister. According to a report by Trade Economics in 2020, trade between the two countries was about $500,000. The manhunt to find the remaining 4 prisoners who escaped from Stang Treng prison is still ongoing. Authorities initially believed that the 7 fugitives have tried to sneak into the neighboring country, Laos. 1 was found on Tuesday night, while 2 were caught on Wednesday morning in Thala Borivat district. The 3 escapees found were identified as Tush Vat, sentenced to 30 years, Van Pu, sentenced to 20 years, and Ket Nguyen, sentenced to 4 years in prison. All the 3 of them committed drug offenses. Director of Stang Treng Provincial Prison, Chun Dara, has stated that of the 7 inmates who escaped from the prison, 1 was sentenced to life in prison for drug trafficking. They escaped prison on Monday 3 a.m. and stole a boat crossing the Mekong River. Stang Treng Provincial Administration says that the escapees will face additional charges for the act committed. The 2 days visit of the Australian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Marise Payne, in Cambodia have yielded a fruitful outcome. The Australian Foreign Minister has relayed Australia's commitment to provide over 2 million doses of Pfizer vaccine to Cambodia. Prime Minister Hun Sen, as well as the Cambodian Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn, have expressed gratitude to Australia's continuous support, along with the growing bilateral and multilateral cooperation between the two countries. EAC News reporter Yuri Matusko has the story.
Australian Foreign Minister Marise Payne has paid a courtesy visit to Prime Minister Hun Sen on Monday. She has confirmed to the Prime Minister that Australia will provide 2.35 million doses of Pfizer vaccine to aid in Cambodia's fight against COVID-19. The first 1 million will arrive in the kingdom by the end of this year. They have also discussed about the Trilateral Security Partnership, or AUKUS. Payne has reaffirmed to the Cambodian Prime Minister that their participation in AUKUS is aimed at acquiring nuclear-powered submarine in order to develop capacity of its navy. She says they have no intention to establish a civil nuclear capability and that Australia remains committed to the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons in the region. The Australian Foreign Minister has also reaffirmed Australia's commitment to continue assisting and cooperating with Cambodia in various areas, such as economic development, demining, agriculture, health, and education, particularly the continuous provision of scholarship to Cambodian students every year under the Australian Awards Scholarships and Mekong Australia Partnership programs. Payne has also met with her Cambodian counterpart, Prak Sokhonn. Cambodian Foreign Minister Prak Sokhonn has expressed gratitude towards the Australian government for their support through the official development assistance, particularly assistance towards Cambodia's urgent need in the fight against the pandemic. Since Payne is also the Minister of Women's Affairs in Australia, She has also paid a visit to Cambodia's Minister of Women's Affairs in Kentapavi and visited Cambodian Women's Crisis Center. She has committed to support Cambodia with the promotion of gender equality and addressing violence against women. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
Battambang's governor of Eknom District, Mel Supal, has given 3 days for fishermen to remove their illegal fishing gear from the conservation area in the region. The governor says that illegal action will be taken if the fishing gear is not removed from the preserved area where different kinds of fish and birds are protected. EAC News reporter Paolo Bonini has the details.
Mil Supal, Ek Phanom's district governor, told EAC News on Tuesday that he has led several command forces to educate and guide fishermen of the impact and destruction of biological resources. He has observed that many illegal threats such as illegal fishing, the use of fishing nets during the off-season, and the use of other hunting devices in Battambang's Lot 2 conservation area have decreased the number of fish and birds in the past few months. The district governor added that beside instructions on behalf of the authorities, 3 days were given for dismantling the fishing gear from the 7th to the 11th of November. Otherwise, there will be a crackdown and legal action will be taken. Lot 2 conservation area has an area of 50,000 hectares and is a sanctuary for fish and other animals. It is also a place for attracting national and international tourists to visit the natural beauties of the kingdom. Paolo Bonini, EAC News.
Cambodia's daily COVID-19 cases remain relatively low, with cases still below 100. On Wednesday, only 65 new cases were recorded. 7 of them are imported cases. Cambodia has now a total tally of COVID-19 at 119,292. Recoveries continues to overtake the number of positive patients recorded. 68 patients were declared COVID-19 free within 24 hours. They make the total recovery to 115,659. Unfortunately, there are still lives lost due to COVID-19. 5 people died from COVID-19. Cambodia's total death since the beginning of the pandemic now stands at 2,845. Cambodia's active cases of COVID-19 is now at 781. New York federal prosecutors have filed a civil complaint against Denver Art Museum, keeping Cambodian artifacts acquired from the British art dealer and alleged smuggler, Douglas Latchford. The late Latchford was best known as a collector of Cambodian antiquities. Some of them have already been returned to the kingdom. The move, initiated by the United States, is to help the Cambodian government retrieve its valuable artifacts. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko has the details.
The case, United States of America versus the late 12th century Khmer sandstone sculpture, Depkin standing Prajna Paramita, has been filed on Monday. It is seeking the return of 4 pieces to the Denver Art Museum that were acquired from Douglas Latchford. Latchford was known as one of the world's experts on Khmer Empire arts. In 2019, he was charged for being involved in looting and smuggling antiquities out of Cambodia and then selling them for millions of dollars. He later died in August 2020. Some of the Cambodian antiquities he took from Cambodia have already been returned this year through the coordination of the US government, his family, and Cambodia's Minister of Culture and Fine Arts. The U.S. Attorney for Southern New York, Damian Williams, has released a statement saying, as alleged, Douglas Latchford papered over the problematic provenance of Cambodian antiquities with falsehoods, in the process successfully placing stolen goods in the permanent collection of an American museum. The court indicates that Latchford tricked the museum that he obtained the pieces legally. Accordingly, Denver Art Museum paid him over $800,000 for the 2 sculptures. The museum voluntarily relinquished custody of the 4 Khmer artifacts. The artifacts are believed to be 7th to 8th century old, including the Khmer sandstone sculpture depicting the sun god Surya. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
Now for a look at news-making international headlines this Wednesday, 10th of November.
A footage shows how a migrant on Poland-Belarus border used a shovel in an attempt to break the razor wire fence and cross from Belarus to Poland on Monday, while others tried pulling down the metal fence and forcing their way through. Poland says it has repelled attempts by migrants to enter the country at its eastern border with Belarus, warning that thousands more were on the way. The Polish government called for an emergency crisis meeting on Monday and deployed 12,000 troops to the region. Poland accuses Belarus of pushing the migrants toward the border, describing it as a hostile activity. Poland, Lithuania, and Latvia say there's been a surge in the number of people trying to enter their countries illegally from Belarus in recent months. Many of them have come from the Middle East and Asia. The European Union has accused Belarus authoritarian President Alexander Lukashenko of facilitating the influx in retaliation against sanctions and must stop instrumentalization migrants at border. Belarusian government has repeatedly denied creating a migrant crisis, blaming the West for the crossings and the treatment of migrants at the border.
Iran's military has launched an annual exercise near the coast of the Gulf of Oman on Sunday, a few weeks before resumption of talks between Tehran and world powers to revive a 2015 nuclear deal. Artillery and rockets were fired during the exercise called Zulfikar 1400. A military parade was also held on Tuesday with helicopter, warship and a submarine deployed. The spokesman for the Zulfikar 1400 drill, Admiral Mahmoud Mousavi, says that the aim of the military exercise is to display the country's military might and readiness to confront their enemies. The exercise covers an area from the eastern parts of the Strait of Hormuz to the northern parts of the Indian Ocean and parts of the Red Sea. About a fifth of oil that is consumed globally passes through the strategic Straits of Hormuz waterway in the Gulf. Periodic confrontations have taken place between Iran's military and U.S. forces in the Gulf since 2018, when former U.S. President Donald Trump exited the nuclear pact and reimposed harsh sanctions against Tehran. Iran has reacted by breaching the deal's limits on its nuclear program. Indirect talks between Iran and U.S. President Joe Biden's administration to revive the pact, which were put on hold since the election of Iran's hardline President Ibrahim Raisi in June, are set to resume in Vienna on 29 November.
And President Joe Biden cheering because U.S. House passes $1 trillion infrastructure bill on Friday night. He says it's a once-in-a-generation investment that will create millions of jobs. Democrat Biden's Republican predecessor Donald Trump declared Infrastructure Week in 2018 but was unable to pass a bill after multiple tries during his presidency. The bipartisan bill's passage gives President Biden a jolt of good news after sobering election losses for his Democratic Party this week and a drop in his approval ratings. Referring to the losses, Biden has said they showed American people what they want his government to deliver.
We did something that's long overdue, that long has been talked about in Washington, but never actually been done. The House of Representatives passed an Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. That's a fancy way of saying a bipartisan infrastructure bill, a once-in-a-generation investment that's going to create millions of jobs, modernize our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, our broadband, a whole range of things, to turn the climate crisis into an opportunity. And it puts us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with China and other large countries and the rest of the world. It's going to create more jobs, good-paying jobs, union jobs that can't be outsourced, and they're going to transform our transportation system with the most significant investments in passenger rail, the most significant investment in 50 years, in roads and bridges, the most significant investment in 70 years, and more investment in public transit than we've ever made.
Biden said he will sign the bipartisan bill soon in a formal signing ceremony that highlights all the people who work on it, Democrats and Republicans alike.
After the break, let's have a look at today's sports news.
EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear.
The International Olympic Committee says a serious training accident on the Beijing Olympic luge track is under investigation. The IOC has released a statement on Tuesday. It says any conclusions will be implemented in time for the Games in February.
A Polish luger had successful surgery after fracturing his left kneecap and cutting his right leg to the bone. He hit the barrier at the Yancha National Sliding Centre on Monday. The Polish Toboggan Sports Association said in a statement that the athlete hit a closed gate that should have been left open. The 25-year-old luger said the track team was slow to react and he spent half an hour on the ice before being taken to hospital. The IOC's Head and Coordination Commission for the Beijing Olympics, which starts on the 4th of February, Juan Antonio Samaranch, expressed support and sympathy.
The track and the circumstances under which this accident happened are being investigated by both the Federation and the organizing committee very seriously. And if there are lessons to be learned, as probably there will, we will implement them and have plenty of time to implement. The course, according to the reviews by both international federations that use it in recent weeks, has got extraordinary good marks for its safety and its quality.
Samaranch said they need to wait now to see how the investigation goes ahead.
Argentina returned to the training field in Buenos Aires province on Tuesday, ahead of a World Cup qualifier against Uruguay, scheduled on Friday. Captain of the Argentine team, Lionel Messi, was seen at the Ezeiza field with his team, hoping to keep up its success in the qualifiers. He arrived in Argentina in private jet, together with his Paris Saint-Germain teammates Angel Di Maria and Leandro Paredes. Currently, Argentina's national team is in second place of the South American qualifying group, 6 points behind Brazil. Uruguay's team holds fifth place in the South American standing. Brazil's national soccer team stepped up training in Sao Paulo on Tuesday, ahead of their next World Cup qualifying match against Colombia. Coach Tite has mixed experience and new players in his team, with Lions' Lucas Paqueta telling media he has learned a lot from star Neymar.
Brazilian soccer player Lucas Paqueta says that he's very happy at the moment in Lyon, especially being with the team. He says that it has been his dream to wear the shirt and to win in his team, describing it as a unique experience.
Muito feliz com o momento que eu
As
venho
for the
vivendo.
partnership with Neymar, we understand each other very well on the pitch. Off the pitch, he has helped me a lot, given me a lot of support to bring out my best in soccer. To have not only him, but all my teammates. What we have in common is the pleasure of wearing the shirt for the Brazilian national team, the desire to win games and achieve great
Da
things.
seleção.
Brazil goes into Thursday match the clear favorite. The superstar side was unbeaten in its first 11 qualifiers. So far in the qualifiers, Cambodia has 3 wins, 7 draws, and 2 losses.
Now let's have a look at tomorrow's weather condition. Finally, 4 astronauts have splashed down off the coast of Florida aboard their SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule on Monday, capping a 6-month NASA science mission aboard the International Space Station and a day-long flight home. The Dragon spacecraft has spent nearly 9 hours slowly maneuvering through orbit, approaching thick inner layer of Earth's atmosphere before the Crew Dragon lit up its thrusters to safely slice into the air, deploy parachutes, and splash down in the Gulf of Mexico around 10:30 p.m. Monday. Live thermal video imaging has captured a glimpse of the capsule, streaking like a meteor through the night sky over the Gulf minutes before splashdown. Applause was heard from the Flight Control Center as the 4 main parachutes inflated above the capsule as it drifted down toward the Gulf surface, slowing its speed to about 24 kilometers per hour before dropping gently into the calm sea. Recovery vessels were shown headed toward the waterproof Crew Dragon as it floats upright in the water. A fleet of rescue ships awaited the crew's arrival, which spent 199 days in space and brought the 4 astronauts, Mission Commander Shane Kimbrough and pilot Megan MacArthur, French astronaut Thomas Pesquet, a French engineer of the European Space Agency, and Akiko Hoshihide from Japan, to safety. They were lofted to orbit atop a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that lifted off on April 23 from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. It was the third crew launched into orbit under NASA's fledgling public-private partnership with SpaceX, the rocket company. You have been watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News Channel. For more updates and breaking news, check our website, www.eacnews.asia, or you can check our Facebook page, EAC News, Telegram, and at your favorite app store. More from EAC News team tomorrow night at 8. I'll see you then.